Let's look at Unit 9, Day 4. I'll be looking at arc length and circle sectors. So the first ones, we're looking at going to have one question from arc length on the test. So we will need to make sure we know how to use this. This formula is not on your test, so you need to make sure you know what the formula is. My formula for arc length is going to be the length of the arc is equal to the measure of the arc over 360 degrees times the distance around the circle, the circumference. So there's two things I need to know for this. I need to know the measure of the arc, that should say arc, not AC, the measure of the arc and the circumference. Okay, so let's look at our examples. When I'm looking at my first example, it says find the exact length. So that means I'm not putting pi in the calculator. Pi will be written as part of my answers. That is super important to note. When you see exact, do not put pi in the calculator. Pi will be part of your answer. Do not put pi in calculator. It will be part of the answer. Okay? All right, so when I'm looking at this problem, when I look at the first one, I can see the bold arc that I want to find the length of has a measure of 315 degrees. So the measure, this pen is leaking a little bit. The measure of the arc equals 315 degrees. Remember, I also need the circumference. The circumference is either 2 pi r or the diameter times pi. I have my radius, so I'm going to do 2 pi r. I might go get a different green pen. All right, my radius is 8, so my circumference is 2 pi 8, which is going to be 16 pi. Remember, we are not going to put pi in the calculator. It will be part of our answer. Okay, so now that I have the measure of my arc and I have my circumference, I can put it in my formula. It's going to be 315 over 360 times my circumference, 16 pi. Remember, I am not going to put the pi in the calculator. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 315. That's hard to see. Let me see if I can brighten that up a little bit. Oops. Okay, I'm going to do 315 divided by 360 times 16. I am not going to put the pi in the calculator. I get an answer of 14. Equals 14. Now, since I did not put the pi in the calculator, it's still part of the problem, which means it gets written right there, and then my units will go on the end. Okay? All right, the next one, again, we need to find the measure of the arc, and we need to find the circumference. So my measure of my bold arc, right here, I can see is 150. The measure of the arc is 150 degrees. Then I need the circumference, which I can use 2 pi r or diameter times pi. I know my radius is 19, so I'm going to use 2 pi r. That's going to give me a circumference of 2 pi times 19, which 19 times 2 is 38. I didn't put the pi in the calculator, so it's still part of the answer. Now I can put it in my formula. The measure of the arc over 360 times the circumference. Again, I am not going to put the pi in the calculator. I'm only going to do the 150 over 360 times the 38. I'm not putting pi in the calculator. That's going to give me 95 over 6. Because I want an exact answer, I am not going to turn that into a decimal, because if I do that, menu, number, convert to decimal, I can see it's going to give me 15.833333333 forever, and I'm going to have to round, and we need an exact answer. Remember, I did not put the pi in the calculator, which means it is still part of the answer, and our units are feet. Okay, and that's what we need to remember from finding arc length from Unit 9, Day 4.